Welcome to the Space Out Podcast, where we chill out, chat about, and space out. I'm your host, Luca, aka Luca Tony, and today I wanted to talk about a couple of things that I couldn't make a 20-minute episode out of by themselves. We're going to be doing a bit of a tech news roundup, and we're going to be touching on the three following things. We're going to be talking about the Twitch Spanish streamer Takeover. We're going to be talking about how Apple loses the battle with EpicGames that started all the way back earlier last year. In fact, we made an episode talking about the Epic and Apple lawsuit battle, which that one actually performed pretty quite well. And finally, the Twitch recap that came out just today as I'm filming this episode. So first, let's talk about this Twitch Spanish takeover. What do I mean by the Twitch Spanish takeover? Well, recently, about 3 weeks ago-ish, or 2 weeks ago, there was a Reddit post on the Reddit for statistics that had a diagram for like the communities of Twitch and like the top 100 streamers or something like that, and how they were like spread out over like how they shared viewers, their sizes, etc., etc. And basically, since you can't see it, and I have to give sort of an auditory explanation, all of the English-speaking communities, such as like the Just Chatting community, the League of Legends community, the Fortnite community, the Warzone community, all of those were centered in the middle altogether. And then there were small little islands of other streamers outside, depending on mostly language barriers. There was a little island for French, there was a little island for Russian, and then there was a really big island for Spanish. And that brought a lot of eyes onto the situation that Spanish streamers are actually quite big on the platform. And just to put a little like cherry on top, this past week, the streamer Grefg, or he's just called Greg, reached 2.5 million peak viewers on Twitch while live streaming his new Fortnite skin that had come out that day. Which, just to give you a little bit of an idea, not only is it the highest ever watched event on live stream, like on YouTube, on Twitch, on like Vimeo or whatever, it's also 2.5 times larger than the previous record, which was like 0.9, I think. 0.9 was the previous record. 0.9 million views. It's insane how many people were watching Gref that day. And it sort of really caught everyone's eyes, because then everyone went to like a website called Twitch Tracker, and they realized that like out of the top 10 streamers that get like organized by like average views, 5 out of the 10 were actually Spanish streamers. Like Grefg, I think he's Latin American, I'm not 100% sure. I think there was another one called Ibai also, I think he is Spanish, like from Spain. Like there were a very big variety of Spanish streamers in like the top 10 most watched in the entire platform, right? And this brought a lot of eyes onto the Spanish community, and some some English speaking streamers or some like French speaking streamers, in other communities basically, have even added Spanish to their titles to sort of like bait in Spanish viewers, because they were like, oh my god, 2.5 million people consolidated onto one streamer. I can definitely bring in those people for my stream. So like, which I honestly kind of find, unless they are bilingual, which most weren't, I kind of find it sort of icky, because it's, again, like I said, it's to bait in Spanish viewers, right? Which like there's a reason why they're going to Spanish streams, is because they want to see the content in Spanish, right? So like, but I also understand that, for example, I am bilingual. I was born in Argentina and I'm fluent in Spanish. And I have added on my title of my streams a little square bracket, and inside it says EN/ES. ES for Español, which is Spanish. And basically, It's just so that like I want to embrace my bilingualism, right? But I also don't want to bait in people. So I just say like every now and again I say like in Spanish I just basically say like, oh, if you are here for Spanish, just talk to me in Spanish in chat and I'll respond to you in Spanish. You know, like I feel like that's a good compromise. But also I don't know. It feels very icky that people are trying to bait in Spanish viewers in English exclusive streams. So we'll see how that goes. But basically, the Spanish community on Twitch and on YouTube, we already knew it was really big on YouTube, but especially on Twitch, it's massive. It accounted for like 33% of the viewers on the entire platform when Grefg had 2.5 million. It was just crazy. Moving on, I wanted to talk about the Apple losing the battle to Epic Games. So all the way back in like, let me check. It was earlier last year, and there was a lawsuit started by Epic Games. Let me check. When was this? Okay, it was episode 9 of the podcast, which was around August. Yeah, barely when I started my first semester. But basically, Epic introduced a way to circumvent the Apple Store for buying V-Bucks, the currency in Fortnite, right? Apple took Fortnite off the Apple Store because they didn't want people buying V-Bucks a different way. They wanted to be the middleman, and that's because Apple takes 30% of all revenue made in the store, and Epic just wanted more money, right? 30% is quite a lot, to be frank. So, in order to combat this, Epic said that the Apple Store is a monopoly and it has anti-competitive practices because it doesn't let other, competitors of, software providers, I guess, is the best way, like storefronts. It doesn't allow for other storefronts that Google Android devices allow to have like the Play Store, the Samsung Store, the Huawei Store, stuff like that. They allow multiple stuff. So like there's no problem there, right? Like I said, Apple took 30% of all revenue and Epic just wanted more money, right? 30% is kind of messed up. Because imagine 30% is quite a bit, because let's say you make $100 this month. 30% of that is $30, meaning that instead of having $100 to eat that month or whatever, you only have 70 now. So it was very, very apparent that it was a very, very big price cut that Epic has been fighting not only on mobile but also on PC, because they actually had a similar situation on PC where they only take 12%, I think, when you buy games from the Epic Store, whereas Steam had also a 30% cut that eventually Epic had forced them to go down to 15%. So, yeah, basically Epic has been making moves, and in reality, it's all for the better of us and the developers. But I'm getting way too ahead of myself. So eventually, soon, a little bit, maybe a week ago or something like that, Apple lost the battle, and they lowered their percentage cut to 15% in order to avoid any further issues with Epic and stuff like that. Now, I couldn't care less for either Epic or Apple, because Epic makes bazillions of money from Fortnite alone, and then from the Epic Games Store, which has actually become a pretty well used storefront, thanks to the free games, thanks to the really nice price cuts, thanks to all of the sales, all of that. It's actually become a pretty well established storefront. So they make a lot of money, and Apple is Apple, right? They have the biggest profit margin of any company in the entire planet, right? I could not care less if they make 15% less off software sales. But what this is a massive win for indie games that depend on all the money possible to make a living. Because, like I said before, imagine your indie game makes about $100 a game. That's not weird or anything, because at the end of the day, you have to consider that indie games have a way less, budget, but they also have a way less marketing and way less like potential sales, right? Unless they blow up on the size of like Among Us, Fall Guys, or Undertale, stuff like that, But for that, for indie game developers, those $100 that have to be split up, I don't know, by how much, how many people, like 4 people. Let's say the team is 4 people, which is the size of the Among Us team. Taking 30% of that, it lowers it to $70 for the entire team per day. And then if you divide that by 4, you have like what, $17.50 per day per person. Like they would make practically no money. So that little 15%, it although it's a big chunk for Apple in the long term, it actually helps a lot for the developers that make the games for these platforms. And eventually Apple and Epic and Steam and all of these platforms will see the benefit of having lowered developer tax, basically a purchase tax, because that way those developers can make more games. Because if you really think about it, the sales that you make on the game that you previously budgeted, all the profit that you made of that goes into making the next game, right? So if they lose that 15% because Apple has a 30% cut instead of 15%, there is less money for them to allocate to a future game, making that future game potentially worse, right? Which means less sales overall, which means less exposure, which means less money for Apple. Because if Among Us had, I don't know, 2 maps instead of 3, maybe not as many people would have wanted to buy the PC version, which is paid on PC, right? So like it's really like, I don't know why the price tax is so large, but I'm glad that Epic has won this battle on practically every platform. The only platforms that are still untouchable are the consoles, but that's because they have their own closed ecosystem, and it's kind of hard to break that apart. And finally, I wanted to talk about the Twitch recap that came out today. Basically, what happened was that Twitch released an email with a small stat sheet, sort of like the Spotify Wrapped, where they tell you what you listen to, how much you listen to, like what's your favorite genre according to how much you listen to it, what's your favorite artist, etc., etc. But Twitch released 2 different versions, one for viewers and one for streamers. And basically, for the one for streamers, really, I just wanted to say thank you all for basically doubling our follower count on Twitch this past year. We went from about 70 something followers to 142. I think that's where we're at right now. So I appreciate every single one of you who has supported this Twitch stream. And if you haven't, go follow the Twitch stream, LucaTony0708. We do a lot of fun stuff over there. But this little section is just that if you watch Twitch regularly or you are a streamer yourself, go look in your email that you created your account in. You'll get a little stat sheet, Spotify Wrapped style, that you'll be able to see your stats. And it's actually pretty fun. I like sharing those stats because I'm a very number-centered person. So yeah, it was a little fun, and it kind of warmed my heart that we had grown basically 2 times in size. But in 2021, we're going higher than that, higher than ever before. We're gonna crush the 1,000% growth mark. We're gonna grow a lot this year. I just know it, and I know I can put the work in to make that happen, and it will happen. And I just hope that you are all there with me for the ride. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the podcast. Let me know if you enjoyed this more condensed and rapid fire style of the episode. Speaking of rapid fire, I talked about my top games of 2020 on my gaming YouTube channel, LucaTony0708. So if you want to go get some more of me, go over there. Also, sorry that my episodes have been a little shorter this time, like the past weeks. There haven't been that many like super important or interesting topics that I would like to delve in those topics usually make the 20 to 30 minute episodes. So yeah, hopefully some more stuff comes up. Obviously, there have been a lot of important things happening in the world, especially in the United States recently. But I want to keep politics off this area. I want to keep potentially controversial topics in nature off the podcast because it's supposed to be a chill podcast. It's supposed to be the Space Out podcast. So yeah, we're gonna continue talking about tech. We're gonna continue talking about games. We're gonna talk about movies and all of that. But with all of that said, thank you for spacing out.